Hey everybody, what's up, what's up? Oh, I didn't realize you could see my dirty laundry, my clean laundry. Let me turn this a little bit. You don't need to see my clean laundry. No, you don't, no, you don't. Anywho, it is our monthly podcast. I am trying to get the best angle here. I've got my light bulb hanging over here, but I don't think that's the best. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's better. Ah, shoot. My light bulb doesn't want to cooperate. I'm in a shopping center. Hey, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. So I'm in a shopping center. And I was trying not to make it too bright, but I wanted it bright enough where you guys could see me. Anywho. Hi. Volume is A-okay. Sweet. What was I gonna say? Oh, this is our monthly podcast. So I hope you oh my gosh. I hope you listened to the podcast. It was only like 29 minutes long. So I hope you listened to the podcast. It was a good one. We changed the podcast we're listening to. We're not listening to Snap Judgment right now. We are on to Ear Hustle, which is a podcast that comes out of San Quentin Penitentiary. The hosts are Earlonne Woods, and the woman's first name is Nigel, and I can't remember her last name. Earlonne is an inmate in San Quentin, and Nigel is some sort of production type volunteer, somebody that works with prisons. And so they do this podcast called Ear Hustle, and it's really good. I don't know if you guys listen to it or not, but if you haven't, after this, you need to listen to it because it's so good. So, hey to the family. Make sure you do your thumbs up so I know you in the house or in the van. Don't forget to do that. Just X out. Clink, clink. Hit the thumbs up and come right back. I'll be here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to do that before I start talking about the podcast. So go ahead and thumbs it up for me so I know you in the van. All right. Thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Hey, C. Clinton. Hello, Letty, Rhonda, Kathy, Judy. Hi, Maggie, Irene, M, and looks like Melissa. Thank you. So for those that are saw yesterday's video where I was not feeling well, I put two and two together and realized why I wasn't feeling good and why I had such a bad headache. So sorry to the gentleman watching, my monthly cycle for August never showed up. So I was like, woohoo, menopause, woohoo, menopause. No, she came today. She decided she'd give me a break for the whole month of August and then show up September 1st. So that's why I had such a bad headache yesterday, because sometimes I do get migraines with my cycle. And it only lasted a day. The headache did. So she's here in full blown. I was excited thinking I was going to be in menopause, but no, she wanted to psych me out. Anyway, so, all right, let's get to talking about this podcast. Show of emoji hand who listened to the podcast Ear Hustle, episode number 4, called The SHUE, S-U-E, which means single housing unit, I believe. Who listened? Yeah, Maggie. All right. Thank you, Maggie. I'm going to start giving out prizes for listening to the podcast and reading the books because nobody ever does. All right, C. Clifton. Yeah. I got to do the happy dance for those that listened. Okay, so the camera's on a bungee, so every time I move, the camera wiggles a little. So sorry about that if you're getting seasick. Just the 2 people? 48 people watching and only 2 listen to the podcast. Oh, you guys are hurting my heart. Maggie says I listened to it that night, so memory is foggy. Oh, you listened to it a while ago. Okay. I kind of perused it a little bit today as well. So Thank you, Miss M, for putting up all the links. You are definitely my link moderator. I love you. So anyway, that episode was about the single housing unit, or the SHU, SHU, and it's basically solitary confinement in prison. So it's some gentlemen they interviewed, talked about their, it's Pelican Bay is the SHU housing unit for those that go to solitary confinement from San Quentin. They go over to Pelican Bay for their solitary confinement. So they just interviewed a few different guys about their experiences, and it sounds horrible. So it's small. It's probably about as big as my van, empty. The walls are completely white, no windows, nothing to look at. You get nothing. He said you get a teeny weeny baby toothbrush like this, a little thing of soap. No, did he say soap? Yeah, a little thing of soap. I don't know what else he said. Basically, you have nothing. You can't bring anything. You can't, you have nothing. You have no books. You have no access to anything. And no visitations, no mail, nothing. Basically, you're on solitary confinement. And some gentlemen, or some people, I guess I should say people, because I'm sure they have solitary confinement in women's prisons, but some people spend years in the SHU. And one guy was saying how sometimes they'd be so desperate for a touch, that as guards are walking their friends by or other inmates by, because it's like a honeycomb pattern on the door, you can not even get the tip of your pinky through. Sometimes they would just put their pinky right there and hope another inmate would just come by as he's walking past their door and graze their finger. That's how desperate they were for human contact, for touch. That is so sad. Like, I can't even imagine. I'm trying to look at the camera, but I always have to look at the screen to see what you guys are saying. So forgive my crazy ass. Also, the food was horrible. They had a hunger strike there. I want to say he said it was 2014, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, there was a hunger strike there because of the conditions. They were striking against the conditions. And the guards are extremely physically, basically they're brutalizing them. They're beating them for no reason. I mean, they're already in solitary confinement. Yes, you did what you did to go to prison, but there's no need for a guard to beat you just to beat you, That's not even. I'm not following the current strikes in prisons right now. I actually don't follow anything to do with prisons, and I probably should, considering that my people, Black people, make up a pretty big percentage of people that are in prison, especially wrongfully in prison. But just listening to this podcast, and I've listened to several. I listened to their whole first season. They're now on their second season, so we're going back to the first season and listening to some of those. And I've listened to half of the second season. It's a really good podcast. But anyway, back to this one. Let me read what someone wrote here. Sorry about my hand there. Ariel says the whole system is just messed up. How is that supposed to rehabilitate them? And exactly, there's no rehabilitation. Prisons were not made to rehabilitate people. Prisons were made to make money, and a lot of prisons are privately funded and run, and therefore it's all about money. The more people they cram into those prisons, the more money they make from the government, and it's not about rehabilitation. Maggie says, I think it's crazy that some victims have to be put in the SHU for protection, yet they have to live this way just like the others. That is true. Some people are there for their protection. Some high-level gang leaders are put in the SHU because they don't want gang retaliations in general population, so they put them in the SHU. What was it? Sometimes they will put gang members in the SHU if they don't basically rat out somebody. They'll stick them in the SHU as a way of punishing them and hoping that it makes them rat somebody out, which I think is just ridiculous. And sometimes people kind of deservingly go to the SHU because if you kill your cellmate or you have too many fights with cellmates and they put a different person in over and over again, they put you in the SHU because apparently you can't you cannot have a cellmate. But I don't think someone should be left alone in solitary confinement for years at a time. I just feel like that is, again, inhumane. One of the gentlemen was saying how when he got out, it was hard for him to even carry on conversations, and sometimes he would forget what he was saying in the middle of saying it, and he would just stop talking in the middle because he had been 8 years talking to really nobody. So like, how do you like not talk to anybody? There's only so much talking in your head you can do. 8 years with nobody, that would be like me being in an empty van, this van completely gutted, empty, and someone every day just bringing me 2 little meals a day, but not saying anything to me. And everything is closed up, boarded up in here, and I just have to live in this cell. It's crazy. Chore Lover says they interviewed the lady and inmate who said this podcast on Sunday morning. They interviewed the lady and inmate who started this podcast on Sunday morning. Oh, okay. Oh, the current. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a really good podcast. The gentleman's name that does that, the prisoner gentleman who's a prisoner, is Earlonne Woods, and the woman's name is Nigel, and I don't remember her last name. Maggie says I forgot their names, but wasn't the one of the people from the podcast in for 23 years or something? I think so. I forget the people they interviewed names too, but yeah, I think so. I think it was. He served 32. He was serving 32 years total, and 23 of them were spent in the SHU. Can you imagine 23 years in solitary confinement? Oh my gosh. The TV show Sunday morning. Oh, okay. Wow, that's pretty cool. Nigel Poor, that's it. Thank you. Yes, Nigel Poor is her name. It's a very interesting name. I wonder if she's named after a father or grandfather. I've never met a woman named Nigel. That's pretty cool though. I like interesting names. So yeah, anybody else listen to it and want to comment on it? Ariel says, just from watching that show where the people volunteer to go to jail, it shows how they are supposed to let the inmate go outside and the jailers refuse to, yet it's supposedly illegal to do that. Yeah, prison guards can be sometimes worse than actual police officers on the street. Something about that badge brings corruption. It brings power to them, and it brings corruption, and it brings out their innermost nasty selves. And sometimes they do things, it's almost like just sadistic. They become sadistic because they know they can get away with it. And I feel like a lot of the bad police are like that too. It's not Antoine Williams. Antoine is the gentleman. I think he helps with the sound, but you never really hear his voice. The people that host it are Earlonne Woods and Nigel Poor. Antoine is like in the background. You rarely hear his voice. I think he helps with the sound or something, or helps co-produce or something. Chore Lover says, I just watched a show on Netflix detailing inmates spending too much time in solitary confinement. It's sad and destructive way to rehabilitate someone. Yeah, like I said, prison is not meant to rehabilitate. It's meant to, what is that word called? Institutionalize you. I mean, they basically want you to leave and come back because that's money in their pocket every time you come back. And sometimes there are harsh sentences for things that just, really that many years for that, and I feel like some people who are still in prison now for like marijuana stuff, that needs to be gone. We need to let those people out, like really, for marijuana. Really, they're still in jail from like the 80s and the 90s for marijuana. Ridiculous. Let them go. Maggie says, I thought it was very interesting to hear someone else's side. I've had friends and family be in prison/jail, and I've heard their stories of inmates, but I can't imagine that many years in the SHU. M says, I just wanted to give him credit too. He was a producer. Yeah, thank you, M. Kathy says, has anyone watched the TV show Rectify? It features a wrongfully imprisoned man and his rehabilitation as he comes back to the outside world. No, I've never seen that. Chore Lover says, sorry, I wasn't watching when you gave the assignment. Next time I'll try and do the assignment. So Chore Lover, if you go to crystalvanner.com, you'll see the podcast and the book club. We have the book club coming at the end of the month, so go ahead and get started with that. In the book club this month, we also changed it. So I changed the podcast and I changed the book club because I wanted it to be easier for people to do, because I noticed that nobody, like 5 people or less, were reading the books and or listening to the podcast. So I wanted to make them shorter and easier for you. So the Snap Judgment podcast can sometimes be an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. These podcasts for Ear Hustle, which are very entertaining and easy to listen to, are usually about 30 minutes or less. And also we switched to book club. The book club is now going to be a podcast form, and it is the LeVar Burton. If you look on CrystalVanner.com, you will see the next 2 or 3 months are already up there, and you can listen to those. Those podcasts tend to be about an hour or less. So we were listening to books via YouTube for free that were 3 hours to 4 hours. This way, it's a little easier. It's a little easier for people to listen to. It can be found online for free to listen to. So you go to the Ear Hustle website, and it's Ear Hustle ESQ. If Miss M could put that up again for me, you'll see it there. Or just go to CrystalVanner.com and you'll look on the podcast link and look on the on the calendar for the podcast. You can look on the calendar for both. Calendar has the podcast and the book club. I'm just trying to make it easier so we can all participate, because I noticed that participation was really low, and we have sometimes 100 to 150 people on the live for the podcast and the book club, and only 5 people have listened to it or read it. So, okay. Ariel says, y'all need to watch and read about the Stanford Prison Project. Thank you for that recommendation. In Time says, I'm a minister that goes inside jails and visit with prisoners, and it's really hard on them. I'm sure it is. Hello, Alicia. Miss M has put up the book club link and the podcast link for CrystalVanner.com. Can you put the calendar link up for me, Miss M, because that calendar has everything. If you would put that link up, I'd appreciate it. Clifton says, oh, the game's coming on. Ball game's coming on. Okay, bye. Ariel says the project was about the Stanford students that became guards and inmates. The guards immediately started barking at the inmates, and this was fake, and the still flip was really okay. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Hi, Chris. How are you? Maggie said, I appreciate it, and I wanted to read the books, but the time I found in the library, I didn't have enough time to read them, and this is a million times easier now that we're listening to them. Thank you so much, Maggie. I'm glad. Yeah, I think a lot of people were not realizing that all of the books that I chose, except for one, you could listen to for free on YouTube. And I put the links. A lot of people don't visit CrystalVanner.com. You need to. Everything even related to this channel, the live videos, when I'm going live, once I put my itinerary up of where I'm going to be traveling to, you need to go to the CrystalVanner.com website, because that is where I put everything. The calendar is there, and it tells you what's going on. And if I make any changes to something, it's there. So the book club podcast is now up there. You can listen to them early. You can listen to them a few times because they're so short. They're short stories. And LeVar Burton has the best reading voice ever. If you're not familiar with LeVar Burton, I don't know who you are. You're not American. You're not, well, I shouldn't say that, because we have people all over the country listening to us. But everybody has to know LeVar Burton. Star Wars, I mean, if you're a sci-fi person, you know he played Geordi on Star Wars. If you are reading Rainbow person, you know he's all into books. And now he has a podcast for adults where he's reading books. It's like reading Rainbow for grown-ups. I'm in heaven. And he has the best reading voice ever. If you have never heard him read a book, please listen to the podcast. Go to CrystalVanner.com and go find that calendar and read it. Alicia says I will start going there monthly. Yeah, we have 3 scheduled lives every month, so you might want to check it more than once a month. So every month we have the first Saturday of the month is book club. First Saturday of the month is podcast. The third Sunday of the month is Q&A, and the last Saturday of the month is book club. So those are our 3 scheduled lives. Now I randomly just jump on live just for the hell of it. Those are not a big deal. That's just random chats when I got nothing else to do. I'm bored, or I didn't film a video that day. I'll just jump on live and have a random chat with you guys. But those 3 things are kind of set in stone. The first Saturday, the third Sunday, and the last Saturday of the month. Oh, and the second Friday of the month, we have Freaky Fridays, which is adult only conversation. And I'm not sure how much longer those are going to be free on YouTube. We might make them a Patreon pay for thing. I haven't decided yet. So anyway, at least for this month, you will get a Freaky Friday. And that is not this, wait, it's the second Friday of the month is the 14th? No, I think it's the 14th. I'm not sure. Anyway, look at the calendar. It's there. Nah. I'm telling you, Tawanda, I love that name. Yes, LeVar Burton is fire and hot. Yes, he looks good. Oh my gosh, I think he looks better now than he did when he was young. He looks so good. He's so nice with that gray salt and pepper hair. Oh, okay, that's for Freaky Friday. Let's keep that to ourselves. Ariel says the guards who were students immediately started beating and spitting on the inmates and the students as well, and this was all fake, and they knew it was fake. The people who monitored it didn't stop it. Maggie says, this is off topic, or when are you heading to Maine? Okay, let me give me a few more minutes for the people that listen to the podcast first. Moderators, of course, can participate in Freaky Fridays. Freaky Friday is open to everyone. We just don't moderate. We moderate trolls, but we don't moderate cussing or adult talk. But we do moderate trolls. If people come in there, being racist or just downright, you know what I'm saying, then we do delete them. But yeah, of course. Hi, late to class today. Hi, Crystal Smith. Crystal with a K, who spells it wrong. I'm just messing with you. I do that to every Crystal that spells it different. So for those that just joined me, thumbs up so I know you're in the van and in the house, and emoji hand or emoji thumb up so I know that you listen to the podcast. We're going to give it a few more minutes of talking to the podcast for those that just joined us. Ariel says, so this proved that once people get control, 9 out of 10, they usually turn bad and cannot resist the power trip. It's a really good project. That is a really good project. And it's really interesting. It definitely, if you tell someone that they're in control or the boss of a group of people, yes, power corrupts. It really does. And I think we really need across this country, our prison system and our police system needs a complete overhauling 180, because that power has corrupted so many people to the point where they're just evil. I mean, when you run up on someone and just beat them within an inch of their life and say they were resisting you, seriously? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And it's predominantly white police, but I have seen black cops do the same thing. So, I mean, it's crazy. It just, the power, it's the power. It's something about that power. I can make you do whatever I want. If I tell you to get out your car, you got to get out your car. If I tell you to spread your legs, you got to spread your legs. You know what I'm saying? And it's really, you kind of have to, especially as a person of color, because you want to live, you want to survive. Now you can try and prosecute it later after the fact, but for real, because you want to survive, even though you know your rights, you sometimes have to comply because you don't want to risk dying over a traffic stop, or not even a legit traffic stop. Just because somebody for spits and giggles decided that they was bored and they wanted to pull you over and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Tawanda says the Stanford experiment is basically to put you in someone else's shoes to show humanity. Love Cat says, sorry, didn't listen podcast, but I'm in the van. Yay. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up here. We got 82, 81 watching, 48 thumbs up. Click off real quick, hit the thumbs up and come back. It also proves, Tawanda says, people naturally move to hierarchy society. people something, I don't know what that says, something rules, but it shows about absolute power corrupts. Definitely corrupts. Once black cops get into the force, they usually conform to whatever the department culture is. If it's racist and abusive, they do it too. They don't want to be shunned within the cop shop. And that's unfortunately, Victoria, that there's that code of blue, or that blue family, or whatever they call it, blue brothers in blue, whatever it is they call it, depending on where you're from, that even the good cops who's partnered with the bad cop will just sit back and let that crap happen. Like, so because they will get shunned, they will get there's some kind of retaliations or something, you know, they may get put on the desk, they may, you know, there's corruption within. And so it's just like, that's why I say it needs, the whole 180 needs to happen. It's just ridiculous. Let's see. Ariel says it's about how you approach people. They would get so much respect if they gave it. I don't talk down to people. It pisses me off. Yes, exactly, says Victoria. I was pulled over in search for a brake light being out. The officers got me out of my vehicle and all. They wanted to know was about the black guy in my front seat. I was dumbfounded. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Somebody blocked somebody. Good. Thank you, Kathy and M. You guys are on it. I missed it. Troy Lover says, my mother was a cop and my brother is currently, I grew up around cops. It's a lot of power to have if you're not mentally fit. And I think that's the biggest problem right there, mentally. I think prison guards and police officers, there needs to be regular, ongoing therapy. I don't think they should only go to therapy when there's an incident. I think as long as you're on the job, you should have to see a therapist, and that should be included in your pay package, is weekly therapy, ongoing for all the time, your whole employment career that you're on the job. Because there are things that you hear and see as a prison guard and a police officer that you don't want to take home with you. And so then I think a lot of times some of that stuff gets taken out on the prisoners and the people they pull over. So I feel like, yes, they should have regular ongoing therapy the whole time they're on the job, and even maybe a couple of months, you know, of leaving the job. I don't know. But definitely while they're on the job, because you need to talk some of that stuff out that you're seeing and feeling, and the issues you're having on the job. And sometimes you can't do that with other cops. And you can't take it, you don't want to take it home to your family. And so it gets inside you, and that negative and that evil builds, and it comes out somewhere. So the armed forces and police departments know they need people who follow. They don't want leaders or people who actually think. You are so right about that, Tawanda. Ariel says, Victoria, that's so true. I hear black men talking down to black people right in front of the white man. It's a very difficult job, Kathy says. I totally agree with ongoing therapy. Victoria says, that's a great idea, ongoing counseling. Maggie says, agreed. Alicia says, yes, they should. Every one of them need it. Yeah, you can't, because you don't want to take that stuff home. I mean, the fact that you almost got shot as a police officer, or that, because my sister, for a teeny weeny stint, was a deputy sheriff at the local jail. And some of the stuff she told me and my mom, and this was years ago, but you know, like she would walk past, doing rounds, walk past a jail cell, and then when she came back through, the guy had stripped his clothes, and so he was standing at the bars naked. You know, they pee as you're coming past, they pee out on you, you know, feces thrown at you. So you don't really want to take that home to your family on a regular basis. You definitely you need therapy. I think they need therapy. Ariel, I'm like, look here, Negro, if you weren't wearing that uniform, then I would treat you just like the next black man. It's very different. Adventurous Spirit says there's also a culture of us against them, and they will cover up for the officers, and that should be reprimanded. You're right. You're right. They stick to that brothers in blue. You know, you better have my back. You know, that's not how it went down. I mean, I think we watched some of these cop shows, where they have like Law and Order and the other cop shows that are on TV. And I think that there is definitely some truth in those shows. One, when there's a corrupt police thing going on within the TV show, I believe a lot of times that stuff is really, really close to the truth. I really believe it is. Maggie says a cop shot a kid in the next town over from me a few months later. The newest cop on the force ratted him out for false information and evidence. That's good. Shore Lover says a lot of good cops go along with corruption because they could get hurt if good cops aren't part of the whole. For instance, cops won't respond when good cops call for help. And I've heard that. I have heard that if you're a good cop and you are, radiating for backup, sometimes backup won't come if you have spoken out against a fellow brother in blue. That's disgraceful. So you are going to let a potential officer of the law get killed because you wanted to do dirty and they called you on it? That's ridiculous. But it goes on, and it goes on everywhere. It's not in just Chicago. It's not in just New York. It's not in just DC. It's everywhere. There's police corruption all throughout all of the 48 states. I don't know how Hawaii and Alaska, Hawaii and the lower 48, I'm telling you, ridiculous. It's everywhere. Hawaii and Alaska. Exactly. Maggie says it takes balls to tell the truth on another cop. Has anyone seen BlacKkKlansman? I have not, and I'm thinking about possibly going and seeing it either tomorrow afternoon or Monday afternoon. But so anyway, I guess we kind of got off topic with the podcast. But back to power and corruption and all that. I just don't think solitary confinement is used properly. I think, yes, it should be used to a certain extent as a punishment. I mean, if you kill your cellmate, yes, you should be in a cell by yourself. They're just things that shouldn't go on. I don't think they should be abused. I don't think they should lack basic human needs. I just don't think that it should be used as the kind of punishment it's being used as. And that's what the podcast is talking about, how it's so inhumane and how these men are years and years and years on solitary confinement, and it's inhumane. So I just wanted to wrap up the podcast talk. What else? Yeah, I heard BlacKkKlansman was good. I wasn't going to see it because Spike Lee, the last movie I saw of his was like, ugh. Was it Chirac? Did he do Chirac? It was not good. But I've heard some good things about BlacKkKlansman, so I think I'm going to go ahead and see it. I wasn't going to see it in theaters, but yeah. Ariel says, I know for a fact that this goes on because I have worked in law enforcement but was not an officer. Alicia says, just came back from Hawaii and my son says the cops are cool and not racist. Well, that's good. Choreo Lover says, please believe some of us know firsthand what we are talking about. Victoria says, critics are saying it's the best thing Spike Lee has done for years. Yeah, because he was kind of going off somewhere else for a while. I'm glad he's found his footing again. So I'll definitely try and get it in this weekend if I can. So tomorrow, Brother Tom invited me to a cookout in Fredericksburg. So I'm going to ride along with him to that. And then Monday, which is actual Labor Day, I'm supposed to be walking in a parade. So I'll do some video footage of that so I can show it to you on Tuesday. And what else? I think that's it. Yep, I think that's it that's going on right this moment off the top of my head that I can think of. Oh, so Tuesday, which is the 4th, I go up to Maine. Still haven't decided which route I'm taking. I will definitely post tomorrow which route on the on the website. Oh my gosh, completely blanked out. On the CrystalVanner.com website, I will post a picture of my Google Maps showing which way I'm going up to Maine. I'm not making any stops, so I won't be visiting anybody. It's 4 days. I'm going from the 4th to be there on the 8th. Just know if you're coming to Maine, I called them today and it's on the calendar now. They open at 4 p.m. So I'm planning on being there between 2 and 3 because I want to be there early just to piss that lady off. Gosh, I hope she's home. And I hope you guys can join me, the ones that are coming. If you can get there around about 3-ish, that'd be great. I'm aiming for 2, but I'm going to say between 2 and 3, just going to depend on how many miles I get that morning. But I'm going to say between 2 and 3. But on the way back, the 6th of September, I'm supposed to meet up in New York with the documentary producer who is making a documentary on van life. Meet up with him and his co-producer to interview, and they're going to be driving their vehicle and occasionally riding with me on the way back down to Virginia for the couple days to interview me and see what I do, how I travel, where I stop, what a typical traveling in my van looks like for me. So they'll be with me for about 2 or 3 days filming. I think they're going to put a camera in the van too. So when they're not in the van with me, I kind of talk to the camera, kind of like a reality type thing, I guess. And they're going to put it all together in a documentary. They are interviewing other van dwellers, but they wanted diversity, they said. So I'm hoping I'm not the only woman and I'm hoping I'm not the only person of color. I hope I'm not their only diversity in the documentary. I mean, if I am, I am, but it would be nice if they would get another woman and another person of color. Because it seems like if you look at YouTube, it's pretty male dominated or couples dominated and young. It's starting to be more young people YouTubing and Instagramming about van life than it is older. And not that I'm old, or not that anybody's old, but over 40, I should say. It's a lot of 20s and early 30s couples. So anyway, I would love to see them interview an older couple doing van life, because I tend to see mostly 35 and under as couples. I don't see a lot of older couples van lifing, so it'd be cool for them to do that. And I would love to see them do someone in a schoolie or a family in a schoolie. That'd be pretty cool too. Anyway, I'm going back. Remember, if you have questions, to put them in all caps with an emoji in the beginning. Hey, Tony. Oh, hubby's driving. Hi, hubby, to Tony. Hi, Tony's hubby. Drive safely. Hey, traveling Teresa. Victoria says, I'm so glad the documentary sounds great. I hope you like the people doing it. I hope so too. We've been communicating for about 2 months now, back and forth, phone calls, text messages, and emails. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool, I think. Judy says, then Crystal will be on prime time. She's like, well, I don't know. I mean, documentaries don't tend to get prime time, so I don't know about that one. Choreo Lover, because I was saying chore lover, my bad. Choreo Lover says, how would one join your tribe if I got an RV and just followed your calendar and popped up? Would you guys think I was stalker lady? You are not the only person that asked that question. I completely 100% encourage it. I encourage you to just get a van or an RV and look at my itinerary and come join me. I like crazy people. For some reason, I'm a magnet for the crazy. And that's okay because I'm crazy myself. It's okay. As long as you're not an actual stalker, I encourage you to come join the tribe. Probably not the main trip. It's probably not the best time because it's pretty much a quick trip. But definitely going out west when I get that itinerary up, which will be up by the 15th of September, and it'll be more detailed because the main trip is just going to be a snapshot of my Google Maps. It won't be telling you where I'm stopping because I'm mostly going to stop at rest stops. Because it is a quick trip, I just stop at rest stops and hit a Planet Fitness Winning if I can. But mostly it's rest stops. However, if you are meeting me in Maine and you're coming back down towards the Virginia area or anywhere in between Maine and Virginia, and you want to come with me, I don't care. You can do that. Just know, again, I stop at rest stops. A lot of people don't like to stop at rest stops to sleep overnight, but I do. I find them convenient. Every other day or every third day, I will go into town and find the quickest Planet Fitness I can and run, take a shower. but I usually only take a shower every 2 to 3 days. I usually just wash up in the van. It's so much easier, quicker, and I can just get back on the road. So if you are coming to the main meetup on September the 8th, again, be there between 2 and 3. The restaurant opens at 4. Afterwards, I'm going to hit the road pretty much that night, but I'm only going to drive maybe an hour or two and hit a rest stop and go to bed for the night. So if you want to come and follow me back down and you kind of go off where you're going to go as I make my way back down to Virginia, I'm all for that. Let's do it. I don't mind. Let's see what I missed questions wise. Lots of older couples in Escapees RV Club. That is true. There are definitely older people in the Escapees RV Club, but I personally want to see an older couple in a van, or even a small schoolie. I know the RV clubs have a lot of older people, but they tend to have newer, nicer rigs. I would love to see an older couple and maybe something not so brand new and not so huge. I would love that, because that would be some diversity. Kathy says, true that Crystal was so welcoming. Crystal was so welcoming at her camp in RTR. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Maggie says, if you're not living crazy, then you ain't living at all. I love it. Judy says, I agree. Roy says, Walmart. I think you meant Walmart. Yeah, I don't park at Walmarts. I don't really like parking at Walmarts, to be honest with you. Walmarts are noisy, and I have found it to be true. The nighttime street cleaner comes through. For some reason, people like drag racing at Walmarts when the Walmarts are closed. Walmarts are noisy, and I just don't like Walmarts. And a lot of times, you're finding more and more Walmarts do not allow you to park there, so I don't even want to deal with it. I'd rather do a rest stop. Tawanda says, trying to explain to my husband what you are about. LOL, he is so resistant. Still trying to get him to see the value in tiny house living. So vanning is a mental stretch for him. Yeah, I decided, if you listen to the video about my story, I decided to do the van because I wanted to travel. I'll definitely probably be doing either a shed home or a cargo container home when I buy land in about 10 to 15 years. When I buy some land in Arizona, I'll be putting either a shed home or a cargo container home, or possibly even doing 2 or 3 shed home, tiny homes, and Airbnb 2 of them while I live in one and still travel in my van around the West Coast and the middle of the country, and just come to the East Coast as long as my son lives here. The only reason I come back to the East Coast is for my son and grandchild. Trust me, if my son moves, you will not see me back in the DMV area again. And just for those that don't know, the DMV means DC, Maryland, Virginia, because I do not like this area. I do not like this area as a van dweller at all. It's expensive, it's crowded, it's noisy, it's humid, it's just too much traffic, it's just too much negativity. I don't like it. Miss M says, I met a lot of them in vans and Class C rigs, but they are very camera shy. Yeah, that is true. A lot of older people don't want to be on camera. And I get that, and that's fine. Even people who travel with me don't want to be on camera, and I get that. You know, sometimes I will have the camera on and you'll just be a voice in the background. Just know that when you travel with me, if I have to do a video, I'll do a video. If you want to be a voice in the background and off camera, that's perfectly fine. I understand not everybody wants to be on YouTube. Not everybody wants 14,000 people looking at them, and that's perfectly fine. I get it, and I do not video or take pictures of people or share pictures of people that do not want it. I love to share pictures of people at meetups, but I usually ask, and if someone doesn't want the picture shared, I won't share it. Sometimes I just forget to share the picture, even though I have permission to share it, so it is what it is. But I like the pictures for me anyway, because a lot of times at the meetups, I end up giving my, when I have a good rapport at the meetup, sometimes I give my actual real cell phone number to people, and then I can use that picture to put your face so I can remember when your number comes up who you are. So, all right, I think that's it. We've been on for 44 minutes. I am in a shopping center, as I said earlier. I just did laundry, and it's all sitting on my bed here. And you can see this pile over here, clean laundry, which is now going to be wrinkled. So I need to fold it and put it away. I did fold my jeans, so my jeans are at least won't be wrinkled. A couple of my shirts will be. But I think I'm going to wrap this up and call it a night. I'm tired and I'm hot. I did go to Walmart and get me one of those iCool towels, and it was so great. I have been doing my water, thank you. I have really been doing my water, but as I said earlier, I know why I have a headache, why I had the headache yesterday. Miss Powell, because I cannot pronounce your first name and I don't want to mess it up, says, I'm disabled and I want to know how to get my meds and take care of my medical needs. Met my husband is 52 and I'm 49. Yeah, I cannot explain that to you at all, how you would do that. I don't know how you would travel and see a doctor if you see a doctor on a regular basis. If it's medication that can just be renewed and you've got your insurance, then you can just get them to send it to any CVS or Walgreens or anything like that across the country and pick it up. But as far as getting to your actual doctor, you would have to come back, I guess, every time you need to see your actual doctor. I don't know. Is that a helmet in the back of me? Yes, this is my Redskins helmet, even though I'm boycotting the NFL and haven't watched any games in 2 years, or going on 2 years. Brother Tom was going to throw this away. It's not a real helmet. It's a plastic kid's helmet, and he was going to throw it away. But because I am from Northern Virginia and the Washington Redskins are the hometown team, or I also claim the Baltimore Ravens as well as my secondary team, I decided to keep the helmet. Instead of having him throw it away, I decided I would keep it to represent my Virginia side. So yeah. Yes, Victoria, thank you very much. Bob Wells has more than enough information on his site about disabilities. Yep. Miss M says, great stream, great podcast, night family, night Crystal. Thank you. All right, guys, I love you so much as always. Thanks for watching. Mwah! Don't forget to go over to Patreon. We have a lot of fun over on Patreon, and you have a way to text me in real time on Patreon, except if you do it in the middle of the night, I am not answering you. But if you join Patreon, you have a way, when you get there, you'll see that you can text me and I can answer you. It alerts me on my cell phone that someone has sent a message, and I can talk with you over there. But you have to join Patreon in order to get that service. So join Patreon and you can text me. Again, if you text me after about 10 o'clock p.m. or before 7 a.m., I'm probably not going to answer you. I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.